This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Pallet, and my code name is Hunk. Today we're going to be taking a look at Black Rice by Abysme. Abysme is a Patreon donator guy, so bear that in mind as I critique his story. Hopefully I can be as honest and as impartial. Boy, I'm already tripping over my words. As impartial as possible to help give honest criticism to improve the story in any way we possibly can. Let's get right into this story. What follows is a series of internal memos I kept over the course of about a week at my day job. Technically, it's a violation of my contract to store these anywhere other than on office computers, so I'm changing the names and other small details to protect my coworkers. Otherwise, the facts of the matter remain intact. I don't think anyone from HR will come looking for this, and I need to get it off my chest sooner than later. I am already interested, trying to avoid the higher-ups figuring out what's going on, and obviously something bizarre enough to merit mentioning to the point where you're leaving memos to yourself. Okay, January 9th, 2017, 1:17 p.m. I was heading out to my car for lunch to watch YouTube and eat in peace. I don't know if the rest of the office was caught into this ritual of mine, as they typically don't disturb me, but this was stopped at the back door. My manager and a fellow coworker had a worried but slightly bemused look on their face and yelled at me to not come any closer. A little woozy from hunger, I complied and asked why. My manager told me to walk around the perimeter of the parking lot to get to my car instead of simply heading in a straight line. The distance wasn't too much, so I just did that. We're going to read a little bit more before we comment, because I'm not sure what to say just yet. Curious, I walked up to her after circumnavigating the blacktop. I inquired about the strange request she made of me, forgetting entirely about my hunger pangs. My coworker, Dana, pointed to a black sedan with a busted front bumper about 30 feet away. At the edge of the parking spot it occupied, just within the lines, was about a bag's worth of black rice dumped on the ground. I hadn't noticed it before, as it camouflaged so well with the asphalt, but I could clearly see it once pointed out. Okay, so, black rice, that's somewhat bizarre. Perfectly mundane thing, but in the mind of a creative person, your mind's going to wander and wonder what exactly there's black rice on the asphalt for, even if it's just perfectly normal. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that. I am curious what we mean by a bag's worth of black rice. That's a little bizarre metric. Anyway, I looked at my manager, Brenda, with an eyebrow raised, saying nothing. Brenda then regaled me with a story of how the contractor we had in this morning saw some guy dump the rice behind the black sedan. Brenda had asked if it was to kill the veritable colony of crows residing outside our little office. The contractor had denied this, stating this was part of some voodoo ritual to curse the car owner. I stifled a laugh, and thankfully so, as Brenda and Dana looked very serious about the contractor's words. I asked if we knew who owned the car and why I had to walk around the long way. Dana spoke up and said we didn't know who owned the car, but that walking over the rice on accident might trigger the curse. I smiled and agreed half-heartedly, taking my lunch back inside to the break room instead of to my car. I figured I'd just take a short lunch and skip out of work early. Hearing superstitious chatter over YouTube was not my idea of relaxation. Okay, so questions I have right now is, why is it that Brenda and Dana are taking this voodoo curse so seriously? We don't know why they're so in belief of this, but that kind of superstition isn't widely believed by people, I don't think. So there must be something going on between them where they have faith in this voodoo. But anyway, I just bizarrely noticed that this is written on this memo is written on my birthday, January 10th, 2017, 12:33 p.m. This morning, half the office was abuzz with with talk about the black rice curse. Saanvi brought up a seemingly related anecdote concerning a picture frame that fell and shattered in her office. She had arrived to work early before everyone else when suddenly the frame fell from its perch with no discernible force behind it. It mildly raised the suspicion of the others, but I turned back to my work and kept one ear on the chatter. We were situated near a fault line. She probably just didn't notice the subtle quake that tipped the picture over. So I'm beginning to wonder if these people are buying into these rituals because they're bored office drones and they've got nothing else to do, so they might as well just believe in these silly little curses because it makes the day more interesting. That's something I'd get into. I could get behind that. People were throwing out Cambodia, South America, Indian, and even Navajo rituals they looked up on their phones. No one knew what they were really talking about, but it fed into the half-serious rumor panic. Chin, the assistant manager, said she hadn't even heard of such a curse before, but would look into it during her free time after work. Everyone seemed satisfied with that and left the topic alone for the day. Brenda took one last opportunity to remind everyone not to step over the rice outside. I like it that they're looking these things up on their phone and they're all full of shit and they're just taking any source that'll come to them. That's cute. I'm not entirely sure how religious Sanvi, Shin, or anyone else in the office is for that matter is. Anyone in the office for that matter is. There we go, Brandon. I do know that I'm a skeptic and found the entire event an interesting had an interesting charm to it. Jesus Christ, Brandon. I used to study comparative religion and folklore, so I decided to remain invested but distant should the situation develop more. I like the idea that even though we're replacing the names to protect identities, we're giving them all ethnic names. So this is a diverse work environment. There are plenty of people from plenty of different backgrounds here, and of varying amounts of religiosity. Okay, so January 11th, 2017, 9:46 p.m. So we're working late. I'm supposed to be working, but no one else is at the moment. So I'll break to jot this down quickly. Brenda and I found black rice at our respective workstations today. On my desk is a small pile of onyx grains. I scooped them up and put them in a cup to show everyone. After showing Shin and the others, Brenda called all of us over to her office in an insistent tone bordering on harsh. Larger pile than mine, was black rice, square and center near the doorway, so that Brenda or anyone else would have to step over it. I like that this stupid little black rice is becoming a threat to everyone. It's like the birds, but on steroids. Like, what is the most innocuous thing that could possibly be foreboding? Maybe black rice. I had a smile on my face. To me, this was a funny prank someone was playing around the office, independent of the discarded rice outside of the parking lot. Brenda, however, was not laughing. She asked everyone if they knew who put the rice outside her door, starting with me. I explained it wasn't me, as I was targeted as well. Caught me banging on the sofa, it wasn't me. Caught me banging in the shower, it wasn't me. I told her I didn't believe in any of this, but from my extensive knowledge of the X-Files, I discerned that this random ricing was a harmless joke. So I think that what we're supposed to be deducing here is that there was originally a voodoo curse, and then someone started putting the black rice around as a prank. That's cool. It's like a copycat prank kind of deal. Whoever placed this rice at our workstations didn't come forward, furthering the fear in several of my coworkers. Examples of bad luck and misfortune were spouted out. Heads nodded in affirmation as the rumor mill all but caught fire. I shrugged and went back to my seat to write this, a cup of black rice sitting behind my keyboard. I'm personally done with whatever silly hysteria is going around right now, and I have a lot of work to finish. I'm pretty sure Celeste is the prankster, and I love her for it, but I'm signing off on this whole affair. So our narrator's getting fed up with this. They're tired of dealing with this, but everyone else seems to still be interested and playing along or actually believing it. January 12th, 2017, 3:50 p.m. There was an altercation outside just around lunch. A man and a woman were arguing near the black rice. Animals refused to pick up the pile, and the black sedan had not moved since the rice was placed down, leaving the pile mostly intact and staining the ground beneath. That is bizarre. Okay. So this is like the first hint that there might be something actually supernatural happening. That the animals know that it's cursed, and that there's something out of the ordinary with the black sedan staying there. Why would the black sedan stay there? They were yelling back and forth in what I assumed to be Mandarin. So I asked Chin if she could translate it for us. As half a dozen of us stood near the back office window, we silently listened as Chin slowly deciphered the vulgarities being spewed outside. She could only catch small portions of sentences as the man and woman were yelling over each other. Before long, we learned that there had been some car accident and someone's child had been killed. Blame and curse words were being screamed at a rapid pace. When the words turned to fist, I turned around and fetched the phone at my desk and called the police. The gunshot rang out before I could finish dialing 911. Sharp gasps and muffled sobs were all that I heard. The woman had shot the man in the stomach, leaving him slowly die. I told the police what happened, and I'm trying to compose myself as I finish this. I already answered the officer's questions, and most everyone is gone. And so right after that, we go to the 16th at 10:01 a.m. So, boy, that escalated quickly, and maybe that doesn't have anything to do with anything. That would kind of be funny. The office was closed last Friday. I think management figured enough people were just going to call out because of the previous day's events. Not much is getting done around here now, and no one is speaking to one another. I'm not sure why I'm still typing this here instead of on my personal computer at home. Good question. I guess I want this all to stay here, so the images don't invade my home life any more than they already have. I'm haunted by what happened, constantly thinking about how someone could have stopped it all. Those are the kind of hopeless feelings people have after something like this happens, so I like that that's being mentioned. Of course, in those kinds of situations, very rarely can you actually do anything or intervene, but you get these helpless feelings and feel like you should have been able to do something. What sticks with me is the image of the woman, kneeling and clutching her gun, sobbing deeply at what she had done. I don't think she meant to kill him or give him a slow death. She was just enraged and heartbroken over her loss, looking for a justification or closure. The police took her away without any resistance. Pity painted across her face. The paramedics were too late on the scene, resulting in the man bleeding out, his head resting in the black rice. I still have that cup of black rice on my desk. I don't know why I keep it there. All right, awesome. So, nothing inherently supernatural about the black rice. Love that. That's on point. The head resting on the black rice. That's dope. this kind of thing is traumatic to people, but we don't actually get a real sense of what the altercation was about that resulted in this Asian man, presumably Asian because he's speaking Mandarin, dying but we do know that there was this curse being placed on this rice. They're taking this all very seriously. The office builds this narrative around the rice. Everyone is obsessed with the rice, and then it just so happens that coincidentally, the rice is indicted, is brought in as an accomplice to this murder, and so it gives an unnecessary gravity to it. So these two completely disconnected stories of these people trying to entertain themselves in an office because they're bored, trying to entertain themselves with the black rice. I'm going to go out on a limb and take that at face value that Celeste, who is the proposed prankster, is really just pranking them with the black rice. That this whole narrative inside the office is being built around black rice, which means nothing, and no one has been able to find any information on a curse pertaining to black rice. And then it just so happens that this outside story of two Asian people getting into an argument is brought to the black rice. Awesome. A real world horror, ash can as fuck, like it. Nice job, Abysme. Check out my Patreon and give me the Patreon dollars if you want your story critiqued. And let's get on to our sponsor of the day, Cliff Bars. Cliff Bars. Eat them in parks to make women think that you're a hiker.